Hello and welcome to Sweet, Sweet Badass Cinema, a retrospective of the 1970s blaxploitation film genre. My name is Rusty Carmichael, your host with the most. Today in the studio, we are doing an interview with the legendary film producer, Mr. Melvin Van Peebles. Known for a variety of artistic endeavors and special projects, he's probably most poignantly known by his work as the founder, the instigator of the blaxploitation film genre with his film Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. Mr. Van Peebles, thank you for joining us in the studio today. If we can we just start by talking about your early life, your beginnings? Where are you from and what were your early years like?
Thanks, Rusty. I'm from the ultra hood. I'm from the south side of Chicago. My dad had a small tailor shop and I started running it when I was 10. I took care of the money and all the other stuff. That's what I did after school every day, and that's where I picked up business. I didn't realize it at the time, but I never had too much of a childhood because I was always running the shop.
With this focus on working, what kind of impact did it have on your education?
I went to a white high school in the city and grade school in the suburbs, so I actually lived two lives. After school every day, I'd catch a train and come to work. All day Saturday and Sunday, I'd work, and I spoke two languages. I spoke the hydroscopic nuclei stuff on one hand, and the "yo, motherfucker, what did you pay me?" on the other. I never went to a prom, I never saw a baseball or basketball game. I worked every day. But that was fine with me because I learned how to wheel and deal. I finished grade school when I was 10, high school when I was 16, and college when I was 20. I had an art scholarship, but I needed extra money. Someone told me about these classes you could take and get paid for. It was called ROTC. I didn't know what the fuck that was, but I sure as hell found out.
Was this around the time that you got involved in the military?
Yeah, 2 weeks after I got out of college. I thought I was going to save my money and go to Europe. Bullshit! I was in the Air Force. I flew jets for 3 years as a navigator for a semi-secret bomber we had. I was flying around with a goddamn atomic bomb!
Once you completed your time in the service, you traveled and lived in Mexico for a while, where your son Mario was born. What was it like when you came back and moved to San Francisco?
Well, when I decided to come back to the States, things had cooled off a bit, and the best city I'd seen so far was San Francisco. I got a job there as a grip man on a cable car. Most of the grip men were much larger than me, but I had these very thin hands, and I had to wear 2 pairs of gloves to protect them.
Was this when you started writing your novel, The Big Heart?
Yeah, I just realized one day that I could write an article about my job on the cable cars. And then I realized that this article could grow into a book, and I told my wife, I'm going to do this book. And she said, yeah, right. Whole lot of encouragement there. So I did the book, and I sold it with photos.
Ah, that was the book that started you down the film career path, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a funny story. A guy got in my cable car one day looking for Melvin Van Peebles. Someone on the car pointed at me and the guy says, no, the guy who wrote the book. And the man who knew me said again, no, that's him. So this guy comes over and starts gushing about the book, and he told me that my book was like a movie. And I thought, shit, I'll go into movies. So that's how I went into movies. I called a guy I knew who knew something about film, and I told him that I had a camera and that I was going to make a film. He says, you going to do it in 16 or 35? And I said, what's that? Then he said, 16 or 35 millimeter. And I said, oh, what's that? I didn't know shit all. But I persevered, and after I got the first part of the movie done, I showed it to him, and he said, it's not a movie yet. We haven't edited it yet. And I said, what's that? This guy showed me how to stick 2 pieces of film together, and that was my film school. I taught myself the rest.
So, after that, you made a bunch of short films. What kind of reception did they get?
Well, I went down to Hollywood with my movies, and they threw me down the steps. I decided to go back to my second love, mathematics. I had a GI Bill, so I wrote to the Dutch and said I was going to come early to get my PhD. To get to Holland, I had to catch a boat from New York. And in New York, there was a guy at the time who took avant-garde films and showed them in auditoriums or gymnasiums. He ended up buying one of my films. I didn't think twice. But one day, when I was in Holland, I got a letter from the Cinémathèque in France saying that they had seen my films and they thought they were genius. So they invited me to come over.